You should be able to see the screen that says doubt session doubts for 25th June, which is today's date. Hi Jyoti, hi Jasleen. Hey Rajdeep, Ashish, good morning. Himadri, Amit, good morning to all of you. So Rajdeep, today's session, and I guess everybody knows today's session is going to be about the new pattern only. It's a big announcement and we have to deal with that. We didn't, so I think the students are also in shock. So we didn't really get any doubts as such that deserve to be discussed here. They were simple questions, but the team has already replied to them. So I think let's spend today's session discussing our strategy and approach to the new pattern. That is the most important thing right now. Hi Ranjeev, Pooja, Parul, Karanveer. Hi, good morning to everyone. So like I said, today's session is a really important one because we have to discuss the new pattern. So let's get started. And if you're joining late or if you get disconnected in between, there's no problem. This whole session is recorded and we'll be putting up the recording soon. So you can always watch the recording of it. Okay, so let's get started. The big change, right? The big change is that the DU LLB exam 2017 is going to have only 100 questions. This is the announcement that DU made yesterday, and they put out a correction also, but the correction was nothing much. It just had the same information, but a little bit more formatting. Some things were bolded. So we've gone through all the information available. We have also activated most of our sources. We've trawled the internet. We've listened to all the rumors. So today's presentation, I want to collate all the information that is confirmed and true and reliable. I want to dispel any rumors that are floating around. And finally, I want to tell you what we at Delhi Law Academy believe or should be the best way to prepare for the remaining 6 days. Because as you know, the date of the exam has now been announced to be 2nd July, right? Which is the next Sunday. Today is 25th, it's 2nd, the next Sunday. And the exam timing is from 4 to 6 in the evening. Okay. You have to report at 3:30 and the exam is for 2 hours from 4 to 6. We've had many students asking us about hall tickets, so I thought I would just quickly clarify. Hall tickets normally DU, what they do is they upload the PDF of the hall ticket to the same place from where you have registered, admission.du.ac.in. This is where you went to actually do the registration. Same place, you'll find the hall tickets. When will the hall tickets come out is the next most important and most common question. We don't know. Hey Parul, so you're saying the voice is not coming? Remaining folks, can you hear me clearly? Can everyone else hear me? Okay. Parul, it might be a temporary connection issue. No worries, you can always watch the recording. I'm sure it will become fine in a few minutes. Hey Apoorv, good morning. So as I was saying, hall tickets will be available from DU website and probably in the next couple of days. So tomorrow is also a holiday because of Eid. So maybe not tomorrow, but by Tuesday or Wednesday, you can expect that the hall tickets will be available. You have to download it and you have to print it and take it with you when you go for the exam. All right, that is the procedure. So don't forget that. Hall ticket, download and print. Please don't do that thing where you download it to your smartphone and try to show the PDF. This is not the airport and people are not, this is not your boarding pass. This is a hall ticket. So please print it. Take it with you. All right. Now, coming to the pattern change, the main thing is that the number of questions is 100. Okay. Time is still 2 hours. No change there. Marking scheme is still +4 -1. So you get +4 marks for a correct answer, -1 for a wrong answer. That is still the same. The change is the number of questions. Okay. That is the only major change in the pattern. As far as syllabus goes, as far as the DU LLB exam syllabus goes, this photo that I've pasted here, this is from the actual notification, and this is not the first notification, this is from the second notification. Just take a second and read through it if you have not seen it already. You would have received emails from us anyway yesterday giving you this information, but just for those who have not, just take a second and read through it. So as you can see, it says very clearly, the LLB entrance test paper shall contain 100 questions relating to English language comprehension, GK and current affairs, reasoning and analytical abilities, legal awareness and aptitude. Yeah, Rajdeep, you're correct. It's the same. The second notification and the first notification were the same. The only difference was that they added this LLB entrance test paper and they put it in bold. Because in the first notification, this sentence was just there by itself. The paper shall contain. So every student had a doubt that is this for the LLB exam or the LLM exam or the PhD exam. So DU made the clarification that this is for the LLB paper. So yes, the pattern has changed. It is going to be 100 questions. Now the important question is, so what is the syllabus? Okay. Look at the words here. This is all the information that DU has given us. English language comprehension, GK and current affairs, reasoning and analytical abilities, legal awareness and aptitude. Okay. Now let's come to the syllabus part. Biggest question, has the syllabus changed? Now here I want to address one rumor that is floating around and I want to tell you our opinion on it. The big rumor is that polity is not mentioned in the syllabus explicitly. So there is going to be no polity in the question paper. Okay. Many students have called us, many students have messaged us asking us this. One second, guys. So Parul, what you can do is you can just disconnect and reconnect. I think everyone else is able to hear clearly. So maybe it's a problem with the connection at your end. Maybe you can just disconnect and reconnect to the session. And don't worry about what you're missing because the recording will anyway be available to you. All right. So let's continue. Polity is not mentioned. This is the rumor. Please ignore this rumor. Okay. Polity still can come. Don't ignore polity. Ignore the rumor. See, you remember that they have said that legal awareness and aptitude. This is what is given to us in the syllabus, legal awareness and aptitude. Within legal awareness, it can easily be said that constitution is a part of that. Obviously, in India, everything flows from the constitution. So legal awareness, a fundamental part of that is going to be constitution. Polity is basically application of the constitution. Polity consists of applicative questions from information given in the constitution, right? Can a Lok Sabha member do this? Can the president's powers do that? All these are defined in the constitution. So easily you can say that legal awareness means constitution and it does mean polity. So just because polity is not explicitly mentioned in the notification, don't ignore it. Okay. And to make you further comfortable with this, even in the previous year's notifications, there has been no word that says polity. Okay. DU normally refers to their paper syllabus like this only. The phrases are not new. We read the notification each year, so we can tell you in confidence, polity can still very much come. So please don't ignore it. I'm going to pause for a second here. Does anyone have any questions or anything you would like to discuss? Alright, so Amit is asking about maths, Karanveer is asking about cutoff. Amit, Karanveer, both of your questions I'm going to answer. It's just coming. Wait for a few minutes, it's just coming. We'll talk about maths also, we'll talk about cutoffs also. Anessa, no worries Anessa, so no, you've not missed much. Watch the recording and you'll catch up with whatever we have had so far. Till now I've just been telling you the facts, nothing new. Ashish, you've asked a very important question. Unfortunately, that is the biggest mystery. I have made a couple of slides that tells you the guesses from our side on number of sections, number of questions, but I'm purely guessing. All of us are guessing at this point because this is something completely new. We'll come to that in a few minutes. We'll come to that. Rajdeep, your question is what I'm going to address on the next page. All right, next page is just coming. Okay. First, let's talk about maths. Amit had asked about maths. Rumor is that mathematics is not mentioned in the syllabus. Right? You can see the syllabus here. Nothing says mathematics. It says reasoning and analytical abilities, but no mathematics. So the rumor is saying that there is no maths mentioned in the syllabus. So ignore maths safely. That is risky, guys, because again, DU never mentions arithmetic or mathematics or arithmetic abilities. No such phrase is used. Even in the last 3 years notifications, we have the PDFs of them, so we have compared this. They only mention analytical abilities. Within analytical abilities, the questions that they ask, you can still argue that they are only analytical questions. They are not really mathematical questions. because they're very applicative, right? Time, distance and speed, time and work, profit and loss. All these are real world examples almost that they give you. A trader sold rice at a certain price and he got a discount at a certain other price. All these are very applicative questions. So DU can refer to maths questions also as under the analytical abilities category. DU has done this in the past many times, does not call out mathematics separately. It's considered a small part of analytical reasoning. So we still expect some maths questions to be there. Earlier when we were having 175 questions, we were having 5 to 7 questions of maths. That is going to for sure be reduced now because DU has never given that much importance to maths. With 100 questions, it should be even lesser. Upper limit 5 questions, but we expect something between maybe 2 to 4 questions of maths. All right, so that is the fact. The rumor is partially true. Maths can be ignored, but just because it's not mentioned doesn't mean it's not in the syllabus. So apply your own judgment. Ashish is asking, can we follow the breakup you discussed earlier? So Ashish is talking about number of questions. So yeah, Ashish, that is our advice basically. There's a slide on that. We're coming to that. But yeah, to summarize, that is the advice that I would give you. If you remember, the earlier breakup was 30% of the paper would be legal aptitude and constitution and legal awareness. 30% of the paper would be GK and current affairs. So together those are 60%. 20% of the paper would be English and the remaining 20% would be divided between logical reasoning and mathematics. Roughly the same pattern is what we believe will be followed now because the syllabus has not changed. So we see no reason why the breakup or the weightage of different sections should change. Now the total number of questions is 100, so the percentage is equal to the number of questions. So maybe roughly 30 questions on the entire legal area, including legal awareness, legal aptitude, polity, constitution. Roughly 30 questions on GK and current affairs, and maybe 20 questions on English, and 20 questions on on logical reasoning and plus maths. So we'll come to that, but yeah, to answer your question in summary, yes, we still feel that the same breakup that we had recommended earlier would hold even in the 100 question pattern. All right. So what can we expect in the new pattern? Another question. Number of questions has reduced, okay, from 175 to 100. This we know now. The amount of time is still 2 hours. Since the time is still 2 hours, but the number of questions has reduced and further the number of seats potentially has reduced to 1440. You would have received an email about this from us. So DU has announced that pending the outcome of the PIL, currently there are only 1440 seats available for LLB. Okay guys, this last week has been a tumultuous week with lots of new revelations coming every second day. It's almost like the Trump presidency in a way. So DU has reduced the number of seats pending the outcome of the PIL. So right now there are 1440 seats. The time of the exam remains the same. The number of questions has reduced. So honestly, putting this together, we expect a much tougher paper this year. Okay. More applicative questions are going to be there. Less questions are going to be there which rely purely on memory. More and more questions would probably be there which require you to understand concepts, understand fundamentals and apply them. This is what we expect. Don't be worried by this. Obviously the marking is all relative, it's not absolute. If it is a tough paper, it is a tough paper for the entire student body. Everybody who gives it will feel it is tough. So don't be worried by that. Just be ready for it. Don't go into the exam and then feel shocked. The paper is going to be tougher this year. I'll again pause. Any doubts, any questions? Yeah, Rajdeep. So Rajdeep asking what does applicative mean? I'm going to come to that. I'm going to take section by section. So then we'll see what applicative means or what I mean by applicative. I'll take sections of the syllabus and explain to you what I mean by applicative. Parul is asking which section should be given more importance. Yeah, but I can tell you that also. Okay, I think everybody is asking. So Viraj is also asking what does applicative mean? So yeah, let's move to the next slide and let's start talking about what types of questions in each section can come and what does applicative mean in those sections. And to answer Viraj's second question, yeah, Viraj, you're right. Current affairs, it's very difficult to make it applicative, but not impossible, right? If you if you just open any UPSC prelims paper for the last 2 or 3 years, you can see how anything can be made applicative. UPSC prelims is a really good example of really tough questions just from general knowledge and just from current affairs. So the same facts given as in the newspapers, but the implications of those facts are made into extremely tough questions. I'm not saying that DU will go to the level of UPSC because that is a very tough exam, but I am saying that the number of simple fact-based questions will reduce, the number of more fundamentals-based questions will increase. Since this is the first year DU is doing this, so not maybe in current affairs, so we don't have to worry about the specter of UPSC questions coming in DU. That I don't think will happen this year, but in other areas. Which areas? Let's start seeing now. So how will the paper be tougher? I'll just give you a quick intro of what I think. You're being given more than 1 minute per question. So each question is going to take much longer to solve. You'll need to spend more time to read and understand the question. So obviously simple examples would be in English, the reading comprehension passages are going to be longer. Definitely expect that. In the legal section, you'll have more questions of the principle, facts, decision type of question, right? DU is normally not given too many of those. They stick to only 5 or 10. Other exams in India, the other law exams like CLAT or AILET, they favor those questions much more. But maybe this year, DU is also going to give you many more such questions. So let's go section by section. Let's understand. Let's start with legal awareness and aptitude. Like I just said, this is what I meant by tougher applicative questions. There will be many more questions of the principle, fact, and decision type. Okay. Not necessarily tougher questions simply because this is a law entrance exam. So the professors who set the paper are also well aware that the people who are giving the paper do not have actual knowledge of law. They are not lawyers. They have not studied LLB. So they are not going to give you very inane principles or very hidden obscure principles on which you have to decide. The principles would be roughly the same that we are practicing in our practice questions in our mock tests. But there will be more such questions, one, and two, the facts will be probably more twisted. The decision slightly might be more complicated. So definitely practice these questions. Okay. There are plenty of questions in the online course and in the postal study material. So whichever option you have opted for, you have plenty of these to practice. The mock tests have many more such questions. So don't skimp on that. Give all the mock tests possible. Practice these questions. In the legal awareness and aptitude section, or in each of these sections that I'm now going to go through for this page and the next 4 pages, I'm going to tell you some areas that I think you should focus on for this next 6 days, today till Saturday. I think if you focus on these areas, they are going to be the highest impact. They will result in more marks for you. Also, they are easier. They are low effort, high return compared to certain other areas. Okay. So legal awareness and aptitude, these principal fact decisions, they are not super tough, right? There is a knack to solving them, which you will get after you solve around 40 to 50 questions. You will understand the knack to solve such questions. You basically don't have to overthink and you should not also underthink. It requires you to read the facts carefully because many times there is one small subtle word that actually the whole question revolves around that one word. And picking out that word, that is a skill that you will get in if you practice about 40 to 50 questions. So work on this. If you have not done it already, then do it for this week. Also, be thorough with your constitution and legal GK because constitution polity is the easiest way for DU to make the paper tougher. Okay, if they want to make the paper tougher, they'll focus on this because you can go endlessly down this, and UPSC is again the good example of really tough questions on polity. I'm not saying you should practice UPSC questions. I'm just saying that if a paper has to be made tough, polity is one way to do it. So for the next 6 days, as far as this section is concerned, legal awareness and aptitude, I would suggest focusing on principal fact decision questions, constitution and legal GK. Any questions? Legal reason. So Rajdeep is asking, will the legal reasoning questions in the mocks be enough? Yeah, so Rajdeep, the number of questions, yes. The type of questions also, we don't think that they are going to come up with tougher than those. Those questions really represent the best questions that we could find. And we have actually scoured through all the other law entrance exams in India. We have also read most of the important law preparation books in India. And from them, we have selected these questions which you see in the course. And they are a good mix of easy, medium, and tough questions. I don't think DU will make questions tougher than this. See, the people who are sitting in DU law faculty are professors of law. They obviously can cook up any kind of question possible using the toughest legal principles possible. They could make something on some pending litigation also in Supreme Court if they wanted to. But they don't, and they won't because they know that the students writing this exam are not qualified lawyers yet. So they cannot be tested on such obscure principles. They'll test you on these existing principles only, but there will be more such questions. So practice what is there and practice it thoroughly. Viraj is asking, can you provide some guidance on legal GK? Yeah, so Viraj, we actually discussed what is legal GK a few doubt sessions ago. I'll just repeat it. Legal GK is an interchangeable term with legal awareness, with polity. So I'll tell you what it refers to. Legal GK means two things. One is polity, so that is constitution and a good awareness of constitution. Second is current affairs with a legal twist. So anything that happened, definitely you should know the names of the Supreme Court judges. You should know who is the Chief Justice of India. You should know any famous or important PILs that were filed, National Green Tribunal, any important recent decisions that were taken. So all recent current affairs, and recent current affairs means from approximately from October of last year. So 2016 October onwards, all the current affairs that had a legal angle to it, something to do with the law. If some high court in India has given some landmark judgment, if Supreme Court has overturned some important judgment, those things are, that is what constitutes legal GK. Ranjeev is asking, how about legal maxims? Yeah, so maxims are going to come. Just because I've not mentioned it on this page doesn't mean that it's not going to come. What is mentioned on this page are what I feel are the high impact things that you should focus on for this coming week. I am assuming that all of you have already gone through the list of legal maxims in the course. So beyond that, now trying to find some new list of words to mug is not a good use of your time according to me. Because legal maxims, again, you can make them as obscure as you want, but it is much easier for DU to find a tough maxim than it is for us to memorize all possible maxims in the world. That's why I'm not recommending that in the next 6 days you spend your time memorizing more legal maxims. The ones that are there, remember them. That should be enough. If DU wants to find some really obscure maxim, they can. It's totally possible because they have the entire field of Latin, they have the entire field of ancient Greek available to them. So they can cook up any maxim they want to, but the effort that you would have to expend to be proficient in all those maxims is not worth the time involved. All right, any other questions? Rajdeep, you've asked a good question. I don't know of any such site, unfortunately, right now that focuses on legal GK. My suggestion to you would be to go through the current affairs digests that we have uploaded in the online account in your accounts. Just go through month by month. If you don't want to do all months, at least do from October onwards, October 2016 onwards. Go through it and pick the legal news. Beyond that, I don't really know of any site that has legal GK. If anyone else knows, please share. This is a struggle for us also. We also have to go through the news and find those news that are important for legal. But definitely be familiar with important judgments of high courts, Supreme Courts, National Green Tribunal, NGT, and also who are the Supreme Court judges, the Chief Justice of India. Such things you should be familiar with. Yeah, Jyoti, so this is possible. We have eliminated most such, but it's still possible. If you are finding errors, just send a screenshot or send the question number to us. One of the team will definitely fix it ASAP. Many of the answers, with all due respect, many of the answers may not be wrong. It may be just that the explanation is not making sense to you. We can always improve the explanations, but many times the answers are not wrong. Anyway, just send us the question numbers and we'll explain or we'll change the answer depending on what the case is. All right. Now coming to GK and current affairs, the way that we expect the paper is going to be made tougher is that there'll be a lot more questions on recent happenings. Recent happenings, so which also means current affairs. So that's what we expect, because GK, static GK, it's very difficult to make it more tough. It's also difficult to make it more applicative, because the facts of Indian freedom struggle remain the facts, and it's very difficult to make an applicative question based on those facts. Similarly with world geography or Indian geography, current affairs are where people can apply their brain and make really tough questions. Within current affairs, I suggest you focus on environment, economics, UN, sports. Why these four areas? DU has always favored these four areas, that's why. So in your accounts, you can all see there is a way to download all the past papers for the last 16 years of DU. So we have done the analysis, so I'm sparing you the trouble and time. These are the areas that DU favors. They give questions from all areas of current affairs and all areas of GK. But if you look at it statistically, environment, economics, UN and sports are these four areas where a disproportionately high number of questions tend to come from. So be ready with that. Within economics, you should focus, within current affairs, you should focus on environment, economics, UN and sports. Again, to save time, since I have only 6 days, just do the current affairs from October 2016 onwards. Okay. The recency effect is important. After all, the DU paper is also just set by human beings only. Professors also are humans. So they are going to remember what they have read recently in the newspaper. Recency effect is that only. So they are going to give you questions. They would tend to set questions from the recent past. So last 6 months, last 8 months horizon is what you should look at. So if you are studying from October 2016, you should be safe. There will be questions outside that horizon also. October to April, definitely, Anessa. If you want to be really safe, go with May also. Rajdeep is asking if October till now not possible, Jan to May. Yeah, Rajdeep. I mean, start from the most recent month, May, and go backwards and do as much as you can. Like I've said, the summaries that we upload are 15-page summaries. And of course, it's impossible to memorize every single word that I give you, but as much as you can. It's a best efforts basis. All right. So do as much as you can. If you can do till October, that is really good. All right. Next section. Now coming to English. Important. This is very important. There are going to be probably more critical reasoning questions. Okay. DU used to give critical reasoning questions. They stopped in about 2009. They didn't stop completely, but they really reduced, they drastically reduced the number of critical reasoning questions till after around 2009. Reasons are best known to DU only. Yes, Rajdeep, critical reasoning is tough. That is the reason why I think they're going to ask those questions again, because the paper is going to be tough. So the way to be ready for it is to solve all those sections again. So critical reasoning, I'm referring to logical deductions. I'm referring to the fact inference deduction or the fact inference judgment questions, then statement assertion, all of those types of questions. Himadri is asking from where to practice critical reasoning. So Himadri, actually in the course there is a decent amount of theory and there are some practice questions, but on the internet also, from various books also, there are not too many questions available, unfortunately. Critical reasoning is considered to be a tough area, and that's the reason why most people don't have too many questions also available. What I can suggest is that you can look at other tougher exams. CAT is one, GMAT is another, LSAT. All of these feature lots of critical reasoning questions. But more than, unless you have the solutions to these questions, there's no point solving them, because critical reasoning is tough. Even for me, it's tough. Critical reasoning takes all your skills of logical analysis, deduction, and reasoning to solve the question. So don't start a new source unless you have the answers or solutions available for it. Yeah, Rajdeep, you should definitely do past papers. Past papers, though, you have to do. Consider that like a necessity. And in fact, I probably haven't mentioned it yet, but yeah, this is a good point. All of you must solve the past papers of DU. Don't ignore that. DU is known for repeating questions from past papers. So whatever you do or do not do in this week, you must, absolutely must solve all the past papers of DU. If you go to your accounts in your online course, in your student accounts, you can log in. There is a section called course announcements and past papers. There you can download all 16 years past papers of DU. There, each paper has a full answer key and each paper has a partial solution set also. So we have solved most of the tougher questions and that complete set of PDFs is available for download. It is part of your course. You have already paid for it. So nothing extra to be done. Download them. Please solve them. Okay. Definitely don't skip that. Rajdeep, you're pointing out NLU Delhi has tough questions. That's a good point. So the exam conducted by NLU Delhi is called AILET. AILET. We have a good collection of AILET papers also. AILET has started only in 2008, but from 2008, all the questions, all the papers, we have collected them, and again with solutions, with answers. They are available on our website. If you go to delhilawacademy.com, you can see under the past paper section, AILET is also there. So you can look at those questions and get ideas from there as well. Viraj is asking questions from which sections are likely to be repeated. So Viraj, we have very commonly seen questions, obviously not questions from current affairs. They're not going to repeat that. So you can exclude current affairs. GK also very rarely they repeat. Sometimes they repeat questions in geography or history, but that is rare because GK has lots of facts and so they don't need to repeat questions. They repeat questions in legal awareness and aptitude. That is one section that they definitely repeat questions. Second place where they repeat questions is in English. Sometimes they repeat synonyms, antonyms, sometimes foreign language phrases. Then in logical reasoning, the logical puzzles, these are also sometimes repeated. So legal maxims, legal awareness and aptitude, foreign language phrases, synonyms, antonyms, even idioms and phrases sometimes, and the logical puzzles, these can be repeated. But in general, you should solve the entire papers just to be aware of all the questions that DU has asked. It will give you a good familiarity with the way the paper has evolved and it will expose you to a huge range of questions that DU has been asking. So definitely solve those papers. All right. Then coming to reading comprehension, I mentioned this earlier also, the passages are going to be longer. Okay. Earlier, many times DU has given very short passages, sometimes even as short as 3 or 4 sentences only, and they would ask you questions on that. Those happy days probably are not going to be there this time at least. They want to make you spend more time, right? Earlier you had 175 questions in 2 hours or 175 questions in 120 minutes. Now you have 100 questions in 120 minutes. So the amount of time per question you have is much more. And they definitely don't want people to walk out after 1 hour saying the paper was super easy because DU has its own reputation also to protect. So the paper is going to be longer, the questions are going to be tougher. Other than critical reasoning and RC questions, you can also focus on para jumbles, synonyms, antonyms, fill in the blanks. Okay. Now, if you solve the past papers, that should be honestly enough practice for this. So all of the para jumbles as it is a newer form of question. It was not there in the, for example, 10 years ago. Those papers did not have para jumbles and all. It has started coming only recently. Synonyms, antonyms, fill in the blanks have have been coming. Again, if you solve the old papers, you'll get a good exposure to all of these. I think I missed a question from Rajdeep. Rajdeep is asking about closed tests. So Rajdeep, I consider closed tests to be basically a special case of fill in the blanks only because they look like a tougher fill in the blank, but they're actually easier. If you see our theory video also, I explain how it's easier. Once you start solving and you fill in a few blanks, then you get the context for the remaining passage and the other blanks become much easier. So fill in the blanks and closed test, I consider them related to each other. And yeah, when I'm saying fill in the blanks can come, I mean closed test also. Himadri is asking, what is the catch to solve para jumbles? Himadri, you should watch the theory videos. I've given a few tips for that. Para jumbles, there is some logic, some amount of analysis, some amount of reasoning that you can apply to infer what is the most likely choice for the answer. And especially by elimination, since you have 4 choices, you can you can easily crack many of the questions by elimination without even solving the question. You can just crack those questions. So what I would suggest is watch all the solved example videos where I talk you through how I have solved each para jumble. That would be a great help to you. But yes, I agree it's confusing. It is one of the question types that mixes analytical reasoning with English. So you need to know good grammar and you need to have a logical reasoning skill. So that's why obviously it is a favorite of the examiner also. So it's going to come, expect it. Watch those videos, that should help. And finally, some foreign language phrases in English. Some interesting ones are going to come this year. I don't suggest that you try to find a new list to memorize. Same logic as legal maxims, same logic. There are infinite lists that you can find, and there are infinite lists of words that you can, interesting words that you can memorize. But given that we have only 6 days left till the exam, the investment in time is not worth it. So just be prepared for it. Don't get shocked or don't get thrown when you see it in the exam. It's going to come, it's going to happen. There will be some easy ones also, so answer those. The tough ones, feel okay with leaving it. It's fine. Then coming to the next section, which is logical reasoning. In logical reasoning, expect some tougher puzzles, and we have seen some good quality puzzles in the previous doubt sessions. Really good quality. So I was very happy with the progress of the class also. I think everyone who attended the sessions was getting the puzzles also, was able to solve them in good time, in a reasonable time, which was exam speed was quite acceptable. Expect those kind of puzzles. I don't think you will find anything tougher than those coming in the exam. Of course, it's possible to make tougher puzzles, but I don't think that you will go to puzzles tougher than what we have seen already. So just practice those and you should be good. Rajdeep is asking more than one puzzle possible. Yeah, Rajdeep, I think so. So maybe the number of questions per puzzle will not be 5, maybe it will be 2 or 3. But yes, more than one puzzle is definitely possible. Other thing that I would say is brush up on syllogisms. Syllogisms comes in the intersection of logical reasoning and critical reasoning. So brush up on that. Some other areas that I feel DU has liked historically and will certainly give questions on this year also. Blood relations, direction problems, coding, decoding. So these 3 areas, please revise them. Make sure that any question that comes, you're tip top, you're ready, and you can attack them. Coding, decoding is an area where if you have seen that type of question before, you'll get the idea. If you have not seen that type of question before, then coming up with the idea in the exam is very difficult. But that is not the case for blood relations and direction problems. These two, if you have just done enough practice, you'll be able to handle whatever question they throw at you in the exam also. Okay. So I would suggest spending a bit of time just revising these. If you have not done it yet, then don't start. Okay. And that is true for everything that I'm telling you in this session. If there are some topics that I'm mentioning that you have not even started yet, don't worry about it. Don't start a new topic now. There's not enough time left. Today and for the next 6 days, you have to just revise and make sure that what you know very well. You'll not make any mistakes and you'll definitely get those marks. So I'm assuming that you've already done these topics. Definitely revise them for the exam. And then finally, the last section, which is mathematics. You're going to see very few questions. And our advice to you is this. If mathematics is not your strong point, even if you have studied all our material, but you're still not feeling very confident about it, I would strongly just suggest completely ignoring it. Just leave it for the next 6 days. Just see whatever comes in the exam. If the questions are easy, do them. If they're not easy, just leave them. See, it's not going to account for more than 5 questions. That is our feeling that maths will not come for more than 5 questions. And the effort that it will take you to be competent and solve 2 or 3 of those 5 questions, again, it's not worth it from a time and returns perspective. You'll spend more time and probably get less returns. That time invested in something else would be better. Rajdeep is saying in maths, give us any 5 topics to revise. So Rajdeep, the favorites of DU and which are also easy topics according to me, which are probably the easiest to revise and which you can probably expect 1 or 2 questions on. One is ratio and proportion. One is percentages. One is time and work. Okay. These 3, time and work, ratio and proportion, percentages, these 3 Definitely you'll have some questions on them and they are easier. Profit and loss, time, distance and speed will also probably come in the exam, but the questions students find them harder to solve. Okay, the steps involved are slightly more, the calculations are slightly trickier. So I am not going to suggest profit and loss and time, distance, speed to be done as a revision topic. I am going to suggest ratio, proportion, percentages and time and work. These three topics, if you can revise, that would be good. Again, for everyone, this is for everyone. Do this, go to maths and start spending time on maths only if you feel that it is your strong point and you can actually get those questions in the exam. If you have not been getting the maths questions in the mock test, if you are not from a maths background, if you have not been in touch with maths for several years, don't start now. It is not worth it. It's too late now. Focus on the other topics and get marks there. Jasleen, I just answered. I hope that answers your question also, right? Okay, very good. So now we have gone topic by topic and I've told you some of the things that I feel are important, some of the things that I feel you should spend your time on for the next 6 days. Himadri is asking the type of questions in mocks, are they enough for maths? Yeah, Himadri, they are more than enough actually. In the mocks, we have given you slightly tougher than what we expect also in the exam. So if you are able to solve the mocks questions, you are good. You are ready for the exam. Yeah, Rajdeep. Time management is a very important topic, and I have a slide on that. We're coming to that. We're coming to that. All right. Now, one small general knowledge topic. Many students are very curious, so I thought I would address it. Why has the pattern changed? Many people are calling us. Many people are writing to us on Facebook, writing us emails. Sir, why has the pattern changed? Guys, first of all, DU is its own university. They can do whatever they feel like. They are under no obligation to maintain a pattern each year. And changing patterns is a very common thing. CAT pattern changes almost every year. So the IMs change the pattern. IIT JEE patterns change probably once every 2 years. So patterns change all the time. Just because DU has not changed doesn't mean it cannot change. This is something to be expected. It's very normal in the student world. Other reasons could be there is a chance that the seats are reduced, right? We all know that there is a PIL going on in Supreme Court right now regarding Law Center 2. There is a litigation which is on right now between Delhi University and the Bar Council of India regarding Law Center 2, and all those seats are right now not available for DU to conduct an examination on or to take admission on. So removing those seats, DU is left with only 1,440 seats. Earlier there used to be more than 2,300 seats. This is all categories put together. So there is a loss of around 900 or maybe 850 seats, and that is a massive chunk. So maybe DU thought that the exam should become more competitive, otherwise how will we filter out students? That may be one idea. Second, setting a 170 question paper is very tough. Obviously, it takes a lot of ability, a lot of time, a lot of commitment. Professors, maybe those professors are involved in others. We all know that there's a lot of delay in the registration process, in the admission process, in all the notifications come. There was a lot of delay. So it's possible that they just did not have enough time to do justice to 75 questions. It's not just creating questions, right? They have to be approved by other people, because even after all those processes, many times there are small errors in questions that the professors have not thought of, and then students submit doubts or questions or objections later, and then those questions have to be withdrawn. So there is a very stringent quality checking process that happens, and maybe they just didn't have enough time to do that for all the 175. So they thought maybe they should make a shorter paper or a less question paper this year. Rajdeep, I see that you're a very hopeful person. Yeah, so the answer to you is yes. It is not completely 0% chance. Maybe it's an easy paper, but we can't count on that. We definitely cannot prepare expecting that. And all the signs point to it being a tougher paper. Even if the paper is the same standard as last year, see, this is important. This is very important. Let's say the paper is not easier than last year.
and the paper is not harder than last year, it is the same standard as last year, still you have to perform better. You have to score more marks because the number of seats has reduced. The number of seats has reduced, so the cutoffs are going to be higher. If so, again, I'm setting up a hypothetical scenario where the paper this year is exactly the same standard as last year, number of questions is lower, and the number of seats is reduced. You as an individual student would have to score higher marks or a higher percentage mark compared to what you had scored last year, simply because the number of seats is lesser. Number of seats is lesser, competition is more. The number of students registering for DU increases each year. So even if the paper standard is exactly the same as last year, for you as a student, it is tougher. Get my point? Third reason could be that DU has been giving a 175 question paper for almost more than 10 years now, more than a decade. Maybe they just felt it was time for a change. See, whatever the reason may be, that is not for us to figure out. DU can do whatever they feel like. We, as students who are preparing for the exam, we just have to be ready to respond. If we are thorough with our topics, if we are thorough with our preparation, if we understand the fundamentals well, it doesn't matter if the exam is 100 questions, 175 questions, 200 questions. All that matters is that we know what we are ready, what we have studied in, and we can answer those questions. Yeah, Viraj, I'm coming to that. I'm going to tell you what is a safe score, what you should expect the cutoff to be. I'm coming to that. So here's the question, right? Here's what we just about. What will the cutoff be? Earlier, the total marks were 700, right? There was +4 -1 marking, and you had 175 questions. Total was 700. Anybody who got 4 plus in the general category, if you got more than 450, it was considered to be a safe score. You get admission. Now you may not get admission in CLC or something like that, but you admission in the law faculty of DU, and you can at least shoot for an LLB from DU. That was the case earlier. Now the paper is out of 400 marks, right? 100 questions, 4 marks per question, so 400 marks. Also, the number of seats is going to be lower this year. Okay. So given these two facts, and maybe the paper is tougher, so there are some forces that are driving the cutoff up. There are some forces that are driving the cutoff down. Number of seats being lower drives the cutoff up. If the paper is easy, that will drive the cutoff down. If the paper is hard, it will drive the cutoff again down. I'm sorry, the other way around. If the paper is easy, that will drive the cutoff up. If the paper is hard, it will drive the cutoff down. Balancing all these things together, I think that you should aim for about 280. That would be a safe score. If you exceed 280, then you can breathe, take it easy, and maybe say that, okay, maybe I'm safe. But again, this is a guess. Okay. Don't take this as the law. This is just a guess. It's a 100-mark paper which nobody has seen before, and also DU is known for changing things at the last moment. So maybe the standard of questions is very easy this time, or maybe the standard of questions is very tough. Just with the facts that we have at hand and taking an educated guess, about 280, getting about a score of 280 would be good. No, Rajdeep, if you get 80 questions right, you'll get 320. It's +4 -1. So you should get about 70 questions right. 70% of the paper, if you get it right, then you can consider yourself to be safe. Guys, let's be very clear about this. DU has reduced the number of seats by around 900 seats. Okay, there were 2300, now there are 1400. 900 seats are reduced. The paper, there's a good chance that it will be tougher. The good chance that the cutoffs will go higher than last year. So 70% is what I would consider bare minimum. 70% of 400 is 280. I would consider that to be the bare minimum. It's possible that I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong and the cutoff is lower than that. But don't take a chance. Okay. Think or set your goal as 280, that you have to score at least 280. That's what would be safe. Any other doubts in this? I think this is a very important question in many students' minds, that how will the cutoff change? Our guess or our recommendation for you is that shoot for at least 280. Shoot for 70% of the paper. Anybody else has any thoughts on this or would like to discuss anything else in this?
All good? Okay. Then we had a question on, I think it was Ashish who asked this, how the distribution of questions be different. I already answered then. I say the same thing now. We don't think that the distribution of questions will be different. It's just that it will be scaled down. There is a small chance, there is a small, not negligible chance that DU starts getting inspired by other tests like LSAT or CLAT in India and starts looking at their pattern. CLAT is a newer exam. LSAT is an even newer exam, which is imported from America. So there is an LSAT International and then there is an LSAT India. It's possible that DU gets inspired by those guys and changes their overall question distribution. But I think the chance of that happening this year itself is lesser. It may happen next year or the year after that. But this year, given everything that has happened and given the fact that you profs have been busy with the PIL, with the litigation, I think the pattern roughly is going to be the same. So don't neglect any area or section. Don't give any section more undue weightage or less weightage, except maybe maths. Okay, maths I don't mind if you drop it completely because really the number of questions in maths is going to be quite low. So if you want to drop it completely, that I'll understand. But for the remaining four, legal awareness and aptitude, GK current affairs, logical reasoning, and English. These four areas I would not suggest giving less attention or more attention. All four of them desire or deserve equal attention. In general, the good thing to do is you prepare for the worst and you hope for the best. Okay. Coming to time management, Rajdeep, you just asked this management, and Ashish also asked this. So you have 2 hours, but you have lesser questions. So here is what I suggest. The plan doesn't change. Okay. You remember we talked about this in many of our doubt sessions, the 30-60-30 plan. The plan does not change. I still recommend and I strongly recommend that you do this plan. First 30 minutes, first half an hour, quickly scan through all 100 questions. Okay. Don't start from question number 1 and go till question number 100. Nobody cares where you start from. Okay. Whichever section you find the easiest. Flip to the paper. Maybe your strong point is English. Maybe your strong point is logical reasoning. Flick through the paper, find a section that you're confident in, start from there, and then just keep going in serial order. Scan through all the 100 questions, whichever place you start from, cover all the 100 questions in the first 30 minutes. You have exactly 30 minutes to do this. Answer all the easy questions and mark the medium questions for the next visit. Okay. It's a actual paper that you have, like a physical paper in your hand, so you can use your pen, use whatever symbol you want, like a dot or a star or whatever. Easy questions, just mark them right there. The medium questions, use a different mark and mark it for the next visit, that I'm going to come back and revisit these questions. All right. Now, one small thing that I would like to call out here. When I say answer all the easy questions, I have seen that many times what students do is that they tick the right choice in the question paper and they do not transfer that answer to the OMR sheet. Instead, they tell me that, sir, we will do the OMR sheet marking in the last 5 minutes for all answers that I've solved. Right now, everything I want to keep it in the question paper. Guys, I think this is a really bad idea. Really, really bad idea. This is a small tactical thing, but I still want to mention it because I've seen students lose marks because of this. I'll tell you all the ways in which it can go wrong. You have marked everything in the question paper and you have given yourself last 5 minutes to transfer marks to the answer sheet, to the OMR. Let's say through some mistake, through some carelessness, instead of 5 minutes, you read the watch wrong or you get carried away and you have only 3 minutes left. What happens then? What can happen is that the examiner snatches your answer sheet exactly at 2 hours mark and you have not still transferred 10 or 15 of the questions that you marked correctly in the question paper. Right? You said that I have 5 minutes left. So in those last 5 minutes, I'll mark all these. But unfortunately, you didn't have 5, you had only 3 minutes due to some mistake on your part. And questions that you have solved, to which you know the correct answer and you tick the correct answer in your question paper, you didn't get enough time to mark them in the answer sheet.
That would be tragic. That is error number one that is possible. Error number two that is possible. Last 5 minutes, as it is so much disturbance, so much pressure, the time is about to go up, the examiner is shouting something, students are getting up already, everybody is restless. In all this confusion, you read the column or the row wrong. See, OMR sheets, you've all seen them. They have 4 columns A, B, C, D, and lots of rows, right? 1 to 100, there'll be rows. And you just have to fill in those circles. In the confusion, you see B as C or C as D, and you mark the answer wrongly. Not only do you lose 4 marks that you would have got, you get extra -1 also because you marked it wrongly. You would have been better off not marking it at all. So instead of getting +4, you'll get -5. Think about that. So these are two things that can happen. I've seen it happen, and I strongly advise you not to do it. When you solve something, immediately transfer that answer to the OMR sheet. Not only will it give you the mark for sure, it will also give you confidence. You look at the OMR sheet, you see it slowly filling up with your pen marks. You yourself will feel more confident. Confidence is very important because when you're trying to remember something from memory, confidence plays a large part in recalling that fact correctly. So, in many ways that are subtle and non-subtle, marking on the OMR sheet moment you solve the question is the right way to go. Don't postpone it. Don't keep it for the last 5 minutes. It's important that I spend time talking about it. Please do it. All right. So that was the first 30 minutes. You're going through all the questions. You're going to find the easy ones and just slam them away. Easy ones are like lollipops. You just like full toss in cricket, right? You immediately hit them to the boundary. You put them in the OMR sheet and you keep moving. And there will be some easy ones. In any question paper, there will be some easy questions. So take them. Next 60 minutes, you answer all the medium questions, the ones that are somewhat tough. An example would be reading comprehension. The passage you have to read it, it's a long passage. So you go through it. Or a para jumbles question. You know that if I sit and do it step by step, I'll get the answer. But it's not so easy that I could do it in just a few seconds. So I've kept it. Or a logical reasoning question. There was a puzzle. You had to solve it. You had to draw a diagram or draw a table. But once you draw the table, you get the answer. That is an example of a medium question. So next 60 minutes, do all of those questions. Now we are 90 minutes in. We have half an hour left. And we have answered all the easy questions. We have answered all the medium questions. And we have gone over the entire paper twice, at least twice. The last 30 minutes, you are going to make attempts at all the remaining questions. Okay. These are attempts only. The bulk of the marks that you have scored would have come from the first 30 and the next 60. So in the first 90 minutes, you have scored the bulk of your marks. Last 30 minutes, you're trying for some bonus marks. Okay. In this last 30 minutes, I want you to follow the guessing rule extremely strictly. No exceptions. Guessing rule has to be followed very strictly. So obviously, what is the guessing rule is the next question. Guessing rule, we have talked about this before also. You guess the answer to a question only if you can eliminate 2 choices out of 4. Okay. Only and only then do you guess the answer to a question. In no other case do you guess. What does this mean? When do we start applying this? For those who have not heard of this rule before, or those who have joined late, or those who missed those sessions, I'll just explain it very quickly. We are referring to questions where you have absolutely no idea what the answer is. Okay. Absolutely no idea. You come to the question and you're blank. Each question has 4 choices. This is an objective paper. So even if you have no idea whatsoever, you still have 4 choices that the question paper has given you. And you know that the answer is one of these 4 choices. This guessing rule is a way to help you extract some marks out of that situation, if possible. Okay. So you read all the 4 choices. And let's say in example 1, you still have no idea. You have no idea which of these 4 choices the answer should be. You are not going to guess this question. Okay. If you cannot eliminate any choices, you will not touch that question. You will leave it empty. Getting a 0 is better than guessing the wrong question, guessing the wrong choice and getting a -1. Let's say in a second example, out of the 4 choices, you are able to eliminate 1 choice and you still have 3 choices remaining. I'll give you some examples. Maybe they're asking which day is maybe International Yoga Day or something. and you know that it's in the beginning of the year. So if one of the choices is October, you'll say, okay, bhai, it's not October for sure. So I'm going to eliminate the choice that says October. I don't know if it is March or February or May. It's not October for sure. That's what I mean by eliminating one choice. Even if you can eliminate one choice, you are still going to leave the question. Okay, very important. Don't get overconfident. If you can eliminate one choice, also you will still leave the question. If you cannot eliminate any choices, also you will leave the question. If you can eliminate only one choice, you will still leave the question. Let's say you are able to, now in a third example, let's say you are able to eliminate two choices. Okay, then you can guess. That's what the guessing rule is. You guess the answer to a question only if you can eliminate two choices out of four. Okay, then I'm saying go for it. If you have managed to eliminate two choices confidently, you're very confident that look, it cannot be this option or this option. The remaining two options, I have no idea. It could be either of them, but I am 100% certain that it is not this option or this option. Then guess. All right, because then you have a decent chance that you'll get it right. If you get it right, you get +4. If you get it wrong, you get -1 for sure. But you have a better than even chance of getting the +4 rather than the -1. Please stick to this very, very strictly. Otherwise, you're going to lose lots of hard-earned marks. Okay, because of negative marking. Many students don't realize this. After you give your mock test, actually the analysis that comes up, we have set it up in such a way that it will show you how many marks you lost due to negative marking. Many students have reached out to me asking me why their performance is not improving. I would say in 8 cases out of 10, it was because of carelessness and losing marks due to negative marking. So all those students, I told them that look, stop guessing questions, stop losing your marks, stop throwing away your marks from negative marking. And that simple tweak itself helped them increase their performance by up to 30%, 40%. Right? Because negative marking is a really bad thing. You think that you're getting +4, you're actually getting -5. Right? You lose that 4 and you get a -1 also for it. So just be a bit more careful and your score will actually go up. Rajdeep is asking that you've been getting a lot of questions right in the current affairs section by guesses, maybe answers stuck in subconscious memory. Can you make an exception to this rule in current affairs? Hard to say, Rajdeep, because the exam may or may not. I always tend to be risk averse, so I would not advise you to make an exception to the rule because who knows what current affairs they ask in the exam. If you're feeling confident, then go for it. Okay. See, I'm like the coach. I can tell you what the right thing to do is, but if you are playing well, if you're in form, right? As a coach, I will tell you don't try to hit a 4 on every ball. Play only the full tosses to the boundary and stuff. Don't get out is my advice to you. But if you're in form and you're confident and you know that you can even convert the Yorker to a full toss, then go for it. That's my advice to you. Viraj is asking how many questions from static GK do you expect? So Viraj, this is impossible to say because DU keeps changing that. What I can tell you is that GK plus current affairs is roughly 30%. Sometimes it's lesser than 30%, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's even 35% of the paper. But let's say 30% as a number to work with, as an average number. So that means in a 100-question paper, around 30 questions are going to be static plus current affairs. Within static plus current affairs, how the split is, that is almost impossible to predict. Sometimes they give 10 questions of current affairs, sometimes they just ask 3 or 4. So that is really hard to say. So I would not really venture a guess there. Any particular examples in static GK? So Rajdeep, they are traditionally very focused on geography and they like history. And other than that, I told you those 3 topics, which are economics, UN, sports and environment, 4 topics, sorry. Brush up on those, but really it's hard to say what they like this year. They have not shown any particular liking for any particular section also. So again, it's hard to say. Okay, so let's continue. Next 6 days. We have 6 days left. because next Sunday 4 p.m. is the exam. What is the best way to spend the next 6 days? Don't do anything new, okay? Just revise. Don't start off mastering a new topic. This is not the time for that. Just revise, revise, revise. Give some mocks, but I would suggest after maybe Thursday or Friday, stop giving mocks also, because there is no benefit to giving a mock unless you can analyze it. So if you want to give mocks, then give them. Coming to new pattern, I'll tell you what we plan for the new pattern. But if you give mocks, then give them only till about Friday, latest. Focus on the topics that I've outlined earlier in this, but make sure that you're in touch with all parts of the syllabus. Okay. Again, this is assuming that you have covered all parts of the syllabus. If you have not, and if there is still something remaining, don't go for it now. Rather, revise what you already have done. That is more important. This quote is by Norman Schwarzkopf. The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. We just have 6 days of peace left. But yeah, if you can sweat for these next 6 days, it will really help you on Sunday. Coming to mock tests, so obviously all the mock tests that we have that in your diamond pack in your online course, they're all of the 175 question pattern. We are going to try. We're going to find. We're going to try to make at least a few mock tests in the new 100 question pattern. Our staff is all on leave for Eid. Many of them have gone out long weekends, so right now nobody is available. But we are going to. A few of them have volunteered to come back early, and we are going to make some new mocks. So maybe by Tuesday evening or by Wednesday, we'll have a few of them live, and we'll keep adding some more also. But again, don't keep giving mocks and don't wait for the mocks to come and then give them on Saturday also. That is going to be counterproductive. We'll try to add as many mocks as we can, but stop giving mocks by Friday. Really, that would be my recommendation to you. Okay. Yeah, Karanveer, we appreciate that. And no, we want to support you guys because if you guys succeed, that's how we succeed. So we'll definitely try our best to give you some updated pattern mocks. Watch your email. We'll be sending you updates. Okay. You're most welcome, Himadri. All right. So with that, we are done with all the things that we had to discuss today. We'll talk once more before the exam. Either maybe on Thursday or Friday, we'll have another session. There are just a few last minute tips that I'll give you on that day. Nothing important, so don't worry. I'll just tell you stuff that you should do on the day before the exam and the day of the exam. So there'll be an email, or we'll have a doubt session, and we'll be sending you an email, separate email for that as well. But in general, this is what you should do for the next 6 days. As Rajdeep has said, it's an exam of nerves now. Yeah, it is. It's about staying calm and just revising for the next 6 days. Don't give it more weightage than it deserves. DUS just reduce the number of questions. Beyond that, the same syllabus, the same topics. If you're familiar with them and you could get good marks in 175 questions, you will still get good marks in 100 questions also. So don't worry about that. Okay, chalo, let's wrap this up. Take care, best of luck, and let's talk soon.